In this opportunity, we will know the location: Guatemala for Dynamics 365 Business Central. The Guatemala localization can be downloaded through an extension. The extension that is in App Source. This means that our location is certified by Microsoft. This extension brings different functionalities and fields that help us to fulfill each one of the fiscal requirements demanded by the fiscal entity of Guatemala. To know our localization, what we are going to do is to show a couple of initial configurations, then an operational transactional flow in which we buy, sell, and see the behavior of the functionality, and we see the behavior of the additional functionalities and fields. After that, we go to the part of reports and electronic stamping. That's it. The first thing I'm going to do is to go to the purchasing module and enter the supplier section. In our supplier master, we are going to find what we can characterize and identify our suppliers of a fiscal nature. This means that we will have fields such as the type of identification. If the supplier is a personal identification document, if he has the NID, if he has a passport, if he has a residence card, or any other type of identification. We are also going to find the type of supplier, if it is a tax-paying supplier, large, special, if it is medium, if it is large, regional, if it is a taxpayer segment or other. Also, the type of tax regime, if it is a small taxpayer regime or any other related to the regime, if it is a natural person and legal person. Also, in the supplier's files, we will be able to associate the codes, withholding codes, both income tax and VAT withholdings. I am going to open this section, and here we are going to find the withholding codes. In this section, we can create as many codes as we want. For this example, I have two, the 15 and the 25%, which are withholdings in VAT. Here we mark it the type of tax. The same goes for income tax withholdings. Here we will be able to create as many codes as we need, and we mark them with what would be the tax type. In addition to this, we will find the concept number associated to the withholding codes, associated to the withholding or tax codes. For example, I expand the, and we will be able to find the category, the concept, in this case category 1, concept of income, optional simplified regime on income. And we will be able to find the different concepts of withholdings, from purchases and recorded services, raw materials, banking services, etc. Here we will be able to relate it to the withholding codes, both VAT and ISR. This information is entirely by way of suggestion. That is to say, when we are executing a document, in this case a purchase document, the system will suggest the withholding that I previously established in the supplier's file. If we want to modify them within the purchase invoice or purchase order, we will be able to do it without any problem, okay? This information of physical characterization, we will also find it in our customer master. Customer master. We are going to find the fields associated with the type of identification, and we are going to be able to link the type of identification. We will be able to link the type of tax regime, the type of taxpayer, if it is an individual, if it is a company or an organization. And we will also be able to associate, by way of a suggestion, the different withholdings if they are going to be applied to the customer, the client. Now we go to the purchase module and enter the purchase invoice. We enter a new purchase invoice and fill in the informative data of our supplier. Here we are going to place test 021. We can link the type of invoice, if it is an invoice, a special invoice, if the type of transaction, if it is purchase, if it is export, import, If it is local, in this case I will select local. Local and the type of invoice transaction, whether it is goods or services. For this example, I will select goods. I'm going to link the type of article, in this case our article desk, and the quantity of 100. Here we are going to be able to find, by way of suggestion, what would be the different withholdings that we set up in the supplier's file. If we wish, for example, to modify it within the document, we will be able to do so. With the case of the additional tax, we are going to go to the product sheet. And these additional taxes that are linked to the product, we are going to be able to relate from the product file the tax, for example, on the distribution of alcoholic beverages. Alcoholic beverages of 15%, we will be able to link it to the product. Select, and what the system will do is that it will recognize the general 12% tax and also the additional tax of 15%. In this way, at the moment of calling up the product, it will show me what it would be. It changed the cost. It's going to show me what the additional tax would be. And if I want to modify it within the document, I can do it. Okay, we will tell you how to register. Preview. And we are going to see the VAT movements. Here we can visualize what would be the information of the VAT withholding of 25%, taking as a base the VAT and showing me the VAT withholding characterization and the percentage. The same with the income tax withholding, showing me the 5% percentage, the total base of the invoice and the amount. In accounting movements, we will be able to visualize the distribution of the amounts to each of the counted accounts. This point is important to mention that this is totally parameterizable. That is to say, we indicate to the system to which accounts I want each of the amounts to travel. For example, the VAT withholding amount of 25% will travel to this account. Will travel to this account 885, so we configure it to receive those amounts. Once we have verified all the information, we indicate to register, and our invoice will be saved in the historical of purchase invoices, of which we can visualize again visualize the movements and see the different retentions. In the purchase module, we can not only issue purchase invoices but also purchase debit notes. Although it is true that Business Central does not provide debit purchase and sales notes as standard, we have developed this type of document both for working documents as well as for the debit notes. Debit notes registered as the history of these documents. In the debit notes, we are going to be able to link the invoice related to the debit note or related to the increase or modification of the value with this debit memo. For example, here I will select. We can also link the items. We will also find the different withholding codes in this section. And we indicate a record of, for example, in this case, this debit note. And I have a history of the same debit notes. Okay? Here we are going to find the registered purchase debit notes. Here we will find what would be each of the historical debit notes. Now we go to the sales module and we are going to create a sales invoice. In the sales invoice, we are going to indicate new sales invoice, and we are also going to list the customer sales, and we are going to relate also the client and the information and data of the client, the type of invoice, if it is invoice, essential invoice, the type of transaction, if it is local, import, etc. If it's good or service, in this case, I am going to select service, and I am going to select here the maintenance service, which is 100, and let's say 2,500. We are going to find also the withholding codes that we can link them directly in the document or set them up from the customer's, in this case, record. Once we finish the configuration, then we are simply going to register locally this information. Okay, as we have set up the electronic billing, is that we first register the sales invoice. At the local level, it's already saved, and then from the sales invoice history, without the need to exit to another tab from Business Central, we will be able to perform the electronic stamping. We are going to enter the sales invoice history, and from this section, we will be able to do the electronic stamping. Here, we will find the stamping button, and we will get the response from our technology provider. The XML is built in Business Central, travels to the technology provider who has the direct connection with the auditing body, and then gives us or returns us the XML, the status of the document. We will be able to stamp not only sales invoices but also sales notes, debits, and credits. Finally, we go to our report section. We will be able to find withholdings by customer and by supplier. We can set a date range, and we can filter by withholdings, both VAT and ISR. We will be able to send them to an Excel document, to a PDF, a print preview. In this case, we are going to generate it as a PDF, and here we have our consolidated withholdings by supplier. We're going to find the general ledger, also the journal, which we can export by. Here we will indicate preview by Excel or any type of document such as PDF. Done. We are going to visualize the journal. We wait a second for the information to load, and we obtain the journal with all the corresponding details. We are going to find also a report of income tax withholdings. Done. Here we will find the ISR report. We can filter the supplier by a range of dates, and we are going to get the information. We can generate it in an Excel and convert this Excel to a TXT format and upload this information to the auditing entity page, because it already brings us what each of the columns would be. That verifies the massive load of ISR withholding. We will also be able to have the VAT withholding. Done. Here we have it. And we open the VAT withholding report with the different fields and columns to make the charge. Here we are going to find details by NIC, series, invoice total, amount of withholding, and upload it to the page of the fiscal entity. We will also find the purchase ledger, sales. Let's accept, and we will be able to open the Excel file with all the information of purchases and sales. Detailed by purchases, if it is a sale, if it is a good or a service, the total recorded value, export goods, export services, import. If it is, for example, of small contributor, here we are going to be able to find it also, and all the fields of the purchase book, the purchase ledger. And finally, I invite you to like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, activate the notification bell to be aware of the information we publish. Also, if you want to expand the information of locations, you can do it through our website. You can contact us and view information on each of the locations of our services and products, such as LLB retail, trainings, webinars, and much more. Thank you, and see you in the next chapter.